Good day, good day. Happy Tuesday, March 28th. We are live for our live stream today. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. Um, Today to talk about an inside look at retirement living. This is the first in a three-part series that we will have on retirement living, retirement strategies, things we need to pay attention to um, as we are approaching retirement, in retirement, and planning on how we are going to tackle that. Today, special guest and Leonard will be with me on these next three, so I figured we can kind of keep it consistent in having Leonard aboard and participating in these discussions as a fellow financial advisor. So at this point, I will bring him on the stream. Brooks, how you doing today, buddy?
Marcus Fry, doing good, my friend. Happy Tuesday to you.
Happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get started, did you see the we got our email from David yesterday, Mara. Did you see the cartoon he had at the end?
I did not. I did not.
Okay, yeah, I shared it on my post on my LinkedIn, but it goes it's a couple sitting on a couch.
Hmm.
Um and the sportscaster comes on TV and goes, it's a race to the final four. And the lady turns to the husband and she says, is he talking about basketball or banks? So
Oh,
say all that to say,
oh, let's
uh
hope let's hope he's
I'm
talking
not sure
basketball.
which bank is gonna be the next one, but
Right, right,
I
right.
guess we better pay attention to that. So I know we're
Absolutely,
shifting portfolios and all that fun stuff right now, just trying to stay ahead of that next domino.
absolutely,
So
absolutely. I see. We were pretty.
let's
We were
jump
pretty
on into the presentation
accidentally.
today.
Yep.
So I'll get that going.
Mhm.
Yep, inside look at retirement living. So today we want to tackle kind of showing you all like a tale of two retirements where we'll talk about a bull market retirement, a bear market retirement. I guess right now we're somewhere in between these two. It just keeps going back and forth. Look at healthcare, Social Security, understanding inflation and spending, which we spent a lot of time on lately, talking about inflation, and then some strategies for retirement living. We'll talk about putting together some income strategies for your portfolio in order to try and eliminate or reduce that longevity risk. So that'll be the focus of our four topics for today. So the tale of two retirements. Let's take a look at this. Look at this chart here. So we got an account balance. We got a client here starting off with $500,000, and thankfully they're in a bull market. Um, so as you can see in the chart, their annual income that we're able to kind of take off of this portfolio, I believe this is what Thomson Reuters is trying to show us here, continues to increase, of course, since we've got this bull market going on. So I know one of the things that you and I have to be careful with, and we talk about with clients, is the timing of withdrawals, um, and when to take them. Do we need to step on the gas or kind of backpedal a little bit? So the fancy term for it is sequence of returns.
Right.
But what discussions have you been having lately with clients regarding market, especially those nearing retirement and in retirement?
So, I always, when we start talking retirement planning and particularly looking at pulling an income stream and when to plan it and how to plan it, I always tell my clients, okay, get ready for the hit. And they'd be like, what do you mean the hit? The HIT hit. These things are going to be constant: healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
insurance, and taxes.
Yep.
Those are constant in retirement, and those are the hit that you'll be battling against in terms of pulling your retirement income. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we try to develop a strategy and put a plan into place where we're not pulling income just from one. Hopefully we have the option of several buckets, but if we've got a number of different buckets, let's develop a strategy to pull income from all of the buckets so that we're not putting more burden on one main bucket, one main asset that you have. um, we always want to, of course, keep up with inflation, go back with our projections for what inflation is going to be in our cost of living. So let's be smart about it. Let's realize that you will be susceptible to the hit, healthcare costs, insurance costs, and taxes. But let's kind of spread this across, whatever assets that you have, and incorporate Social Security in that. And that's one of the things that I always try to do when I'm doing an income projection, particularly for retirement, is in my models when I'm doing the projection. I really don't like to include Social Security in there. I think Social Security should be more of an add-on, income source as more than just a primary.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, and we'll get to that in a chart later, that where it kind of compares and contrasts what people actually think their Social Security will contribute and
Right,
actually what happens. So it's actually a pretty interesting tidbit on how that works.
right,
Now I've got up the chart on the bear market. So here kind of lends to what you're talking about. What we're talking about is here we got a person who started 2001. I think they're just trying to reflect that bear market when tech was bouncing down, and then of course we hit 08, 09 where we had the housing crisis.
right.
Um, yeah. So that retiree in 2001, man, whew, that money ran out quick.
It sure did. Sure did. It sure
That
did.
money ran out quick. So they
Right.
started out trying to take the same amount as the person in the bear market. I'm trying to kind of hover this on my screen here.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh, 2007, they didn't have much left.
No, they didn't.
So yeah, so we'll get into the end part. We want to get too fast forward on here, but the end part we'll start to kind of show you all some different techniques and strategies that we tend to utilize to try and offset this.
And
But yeah, so
there should be variables too. Like how we always do like, the what if. Like, okay, you want to retire at 65, but hey, if we can hold out till 67, would you be willing to do that? Which that 2 years may make a big difference, or 68. So I think there always needs to be that plan B and C. And even if you go with A, still have B and C in your pocket, because as you see in that bear market, things change. So now we might have to revert back to plan B, and it may be for a year, maybe for 3 years. You never know, but you can't just scrap, the other two plans.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I had a client come in the other week, wanting to retire at 60,
Mhm.
um, and start drawing Social Security at 62. Could they have made it? Yes, but the problem became, if we retired at 60, we were going to have to get to that 401k a lot earlier,
Right.
starting to deplete assets. And I'm like, if you can hang on these 2 years, this year and a half, we don't have to touch those 401k resources. And now we get you about it was $8,000 to $10,000 a year more in income in retirement.
That's
So, you know, you're, again, we're just illustrating to the client that, hey, yeah, you can make it, but if you want to be able to do a little bit more in retirement, or let that nest egg go a little further, like you say, lever A, lever B, lever C,
right.
we tend to turn all those on so they can kind of see what's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So our next one here, preparing for retirement. We're talking about longevity again, life expectancy.
Right.
Women tend to live longer than we do. As the slide is showing, most of us underestimate our life expectancy. Um, and this is old data, because this is from 18, so it's a little bit older chart, but I'm sure this has actually increased the number of people who hit 65, make it to 90 with, advances in
Right.
healthcare and technology. That's getting to increase. And then, gosh, 10% of people make it to age 95. So we gotta, I mean, if you retire at 65 and you get to 95, that's 30 years of retirement to finance.
It sure is. It sure is.
So so we got a lot of income to consider, and how are we going to get there?
And
Continuing, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lynn.
I was going to say, if we go back, and I'm sure what's baked into that number. I remember, some years ago, I used to do this presentation or this seminar with Oppenheimer Funds that talked about, the name of it was Women in Investing. But one of the things that they stressed is that women, will more than likely live, 20 years, maybe 25 years longer in retirement, as opposed to their spouses and men. So that number that you just showed bodes well in terms of the percentages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then going forward, staying with your hit theme. So here we have it, healthcare. Um, healthcare costs just skyrocket in
Right.
retirement. I mean, prescriptions kick in, just the list goes on and on. And it tends to be a nice chunk of what we spend in retirement.
Right. Right.
Um, so of course there's planning there when it comes to, the plan that you maybe left your employer. A lot of state employees, federal employees they have an advantage there. Um, in terms of what they're able to have for retirement because they get supplemented, with some very good plans. But coming from a private employer, self-employed, that's a big cost in retirement.
It
That's
is. It
that's a
is. And
huge cost.
one of the advantages of clients being with the larger employees, I've got a really large employee out in Cumberland County, but what they do is they really push the health initiative with their group health plans, and
Okay.
they actually give their clients, I'm sorry, their employees, bonuses and benefits for being within a certain percentile and taking advantage of the diabetes program or the hypertension program, the webinars,
Hmm.
the info. So I always encourage clients, hey, take advantage of that stuff because it could play a role in regards to you having to deplete your assets because of bad health, or healthcare costs, when you get older.
Right. Yeah, that's why it's important, as you say, for a lot of times when we're meeting with clients, we want to talk with them about
Right.
their benefit package.
Absolutely.
And not just the salary portion, but factoring that in, 401k matches,
Hmm.
pensions, things of that nature.
Hmm.
Those are important considerations as we're trying to build out these things. And here's another chart that really you know helps tell this story about how fast the cost of healthcare accelerates, and this, I mean, it's far outpacing inflation.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So that's
Those numbers are really scary. I
right.
mean, they can any good plan can be eroded, um,
Hmm.
by those numbers, and that 44% of the cost that we just looked at in the previous slide. Any good plan can just be derailed by that.
Right. And like I said, it's escalating that, and that's where we have to be a little somewhat aggressive or have some strategy again, which we'll get to further. So we won't want to get too far down the road.
Right.
But if healthcare is accelerating faster than inflation, so again, its costs are going up quicker than eggs and bread at the
Mhm.
grocery store.
Mhm.
We've got to keep up with that to not to erode that dollar. Um,
Right.
so yeah. All right, next topic. Next topic. Inflation and spending. We definitely know what inflation is.
Yeah, we do. We
Over
are in
these last couple
period.
years.
Yeah.
We definitely understand that. Oh man, 1968. That's a familiar year. Yeah, I think I came out then, began breathing. But wow, a new car then versus 50 years later.
Right.
So there's inflation for us,
There's
head on. So,
inflation.
not, we don't have to spend a lot of time on that. But inflation works against it. So again, having a strategy, having advisors in place to help, generate that income number that beats inflation, so we're able to, maintain our living, um, helps quite a bit. Now, here we go. Here we go. So let's jump to workers and retirees, and here's expectations versus reality. So these are some of the things we talk about. 6 to 8% expect to work in retirement.
Mm-hmm.
53%, a sponsored retirement plan, and then 36%. There's that thing we talk about, Social Security. So when we do our plans, like I say, a lot of times we try and ignore Social Security.
Right.
But the reality is, it becomes almost, 2/3 of people report it's a major source of their income.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I think we want to do a better job is up in these other two realms where, retirees are working because they want to, and that we're able to develop this bucket here where earlier we got them putting more money into the retirement savings, doing some things outside of retirement to assist with that.
And what helps with these numbers in planning for clients, particularly, if you look at your newer qualified 401k plans, 403b plans, where they have the automatic enrollment, which I think is a great feature. When I talk to my clients about their qualified plans and some of the features and benefits that they should have, I say, yeah, you should have automatic enrollment, because when a new hire comes in, they're automatically enrolled in the 401k plan, and they basically have to opt out of the
Mhm.
and most people aren't going to do that. They're going to stay in the plan. And also, I always talk to my clients about, okay, so if you can't max now, what's the plan for changes? What are you going to be changes? And I always go back to what I call the 10% rule. So the 10% rule means that, hey, whatever you're doing in your plan, you increase it every year by 10%. So it's not a big number in the first year. So if you're starting out, you're doing 1,000. I'll just use that as a number. Then next year you're doing 1,100. But
Mhm.
where it starts to make sense and makes a difference is once you get to year 5 and year 7 and year 10,
Mhm.
and that thing is gradually increasing. So just being in the plan for the younger people, and then just creating some type of where you are actually automatically, and in your mind you have a number that every year I'm going to increase my contributions to my my 401k and my 403b. And a lot of the workers who are now at the point where they're kind of in our range and they're just hitting 50, I tell people, hey, at that age, take advantage of that additional contribution if you're able to do it. I mean, because in the long run, it's definitely going to benefit you.
Absolutely, because we experienced that last year when you start talking about employer sponsored plans, and we've seen the steady decrease of pensions.
Hmm.
And you remember we experienced that head on last year with a lot of Blue Cross Blue Shield employees
Right.
calling like,
Right.
hey, they're getting rid of this pension, and we got to roll it over, put it in the 401k. What do we do? And now I'm not going to have this pension.
Right.
So, that just kind of, threw things off quite a bit. So yeah,
That,
constantly moving,
that,
constantly moving.
that pension is becoming a dinosaur.
Oh yeah, and so yeah, we got to take more responsibility on our own of
Hmm.
retiring. Yeah. Um, Here's a good chart showing kind of how we spend our money. This is coming from Bureau of Labor Statistics. Public information here, but it's housing takes up a third of our money in retirement, transportation, food. Just kind of gives you a breakdown of
Hmm.
the national averages here of how people spend their money pre-tax currently. So it's just a nice little chart to kind of people to kind of use and see where you land in doing this. It'd
And
be
you go back.
interesting to see. Hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you go back to the B word, budgeting, and everybody
Hmm.
thinks that they have to have this elaborate budget. My budget's got to be elaborate and multicolored. No, you just got to have a budget. And the
Hmm.
good thing now, if you're on any banking platform now, if you're a First Citizens, Bank of America, State Employees Credit Union, whatever, all of those online platforms has some type of wealth management, not wealth management, but some type of money management program
Hmm.
built to your account where you can, see your budget, see how you're spending your money or whatever. And that's important. I mean, even if you don't want to do one physically in an Excel or whatever, use your banking app and just at the end of the month, look look at it. It'll tell you where you're spending your money.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, there are plenty of free resources as well,
Mhm.
apps and things of that nature where you can connect your banking information, put that budget in there, and start to get alerts. And hey, you're $100 over gas this month or what have you. Maybe a good reason for it. You took an extra trip or something, but
Right,
at least you know and you're paying attention to it.
right. And
Yeah.
it's not budgeting is not restricting your spending. It's just actually giving you a roadmap to let you know how you're spending your money.
Yeah, it's a tool. It's a
Mhm.
management tool. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just like we talk with business owners about, what's your budget
Right.
for this, that, and the other. So, all right, all right, great, great, great. All right, so now on to the good stuff. This is probably what most people want to see is getting into strategies for retirement living. How are we going to make this happen? So again, we talk about allocating that portfolio amongst stocks, bonds, cash in order to you know make it. And in talking with we spend a lot of time talking with some of the portfolio strategists and of course David and them when he was on a couple weeks ago talked about how we have to tilt either towards equities or bonds or cash just depending upon what's going on, and they're able to help us with that. I think Leonard's going in and out. Okay, you
No,
pop back in.
I just had to do something, make an
Oh,
adjustment.
you're fine. um but yeah, so here's this is a big key, allocating those portfolios in retirement.
Right, right. It's a major key because it's just you have to it's not a guessing game. We have history behind why we do the allocations the way we do it. History shows you that if you've got the proper allocation and it's rebalanced, consistently, you're gonna be maximizing your portfolio. You should really never be heavily weighted in any particular asset class or any particular portfolio, and that's important. If you're working with your financial advisor, they should really be they should really have some they should have an allocation that fits to what your time frame for what you're trying to do.
Right.
So
And again, like you say, able to pivot um when things are taking place.
right.
So thankfully, we had uh our guys in place that had some idea of what was going on with banking and had actually moved out of those positions a little bit earlier, at least lessen the weight of them, such
Mhm.
that we didn't take that hit
Right,
in those
right,
portfolios. Again, just trying to preserve cash and move to cash in
right,
order to do that. So I know you mentioned the word rebalancing in your conversation there. So as you can see, here's a chart here that talks about it, how these portfolios get out of balance, and we just got to jump back in and put them in balance here. And basically, it's where you're buying low, sell high. You've got a strategy to do it when that cash gets low and we need to move things
right,
around. This is helpful to do that.
right,
Um, so yeah, so as you mentioned, part of your budget, part of your strategy is rainy day funds. We know something's gonna happen. We don't know what, but tires gonna blow out. Hit a nail, whatever. It's gonna take place. All right, so let's talk about the good stuff here, Leonard. Here we go.
hmm
This I know you going to start rubbing your hands together. I know you like this stuff. So so here we go. Growth plan. Growth plan becomes an income plan. So again, we got a person here, $1.2 million has potential to generate $1.7 million in income. How do we do that, Leonard?
You develop an income plan, you develop a growth plan, you allocate it, and you give yourself a specific time frame, that you're gonna, have that allocation and work that plan. And then you factor in, hopefully in your planning, you factor in inflation. And like you and I, we'll run scenarios that, hey, if you take 5% a year, this is what it's going to look like in 10 or 15 years. Or if you take 6%, so you've got to know those numbers. And again,
Mm-hmm.
through doing the allocation, and this is a really good looking chart too. And it's so funny that it starts at 52. Can you imagine if it had started like at 30 or 45? These numbers
Right.
would be a lot different. But yeah, just proper allocation and getting to the point, knowing the income that you need, because a lot of people really don't know the income that they'll need in retirement.
Right. Right. And then next we get to, as you say, trying to battle longevity risk. So
Mhm.
one strategy is, the split annuity strategy,
Right,
which you're familiar with, where here we are trying to push some of the risk over to the insurance company
right,
to take a part of our risk, but at the same time rebuild that portfolio.
right.
So this particular one here is where this annuity, they split the money up. Looks like it was
Mhm.
about $400,000,
Right,
and they split it up in these two buckets. And we're generating income, and eventually the idea is to build income, build principal here, such that we could start another annuity down the road.
right.
So, that's one viable strategy where we're able to, push those things off to the insurance company. And again, we're trying to manage cost in here for people, because those annuities aren't cheap, of course.
Right, right.
Insurance company wants their cut, but so that's one thing that we're trying to look at. Anything? Well, let me just go on to the next
Well,
slide.
and I was gonna say, even with if you go back and talk about that split annuity strategy,
Okay.
if you've got a client, and we have clients, and we know that they need to be a 60-40 split or 70-30 split, well, whatever that fixed income side of that split is, people, a lot of advisors will tend to jump right to bonds, and it's not always your
Yeah.
30% or your 40% doesn't have to be a total bond portfolio. It can be an income generating annuity. It can be an index annuity. That again, I always tell clients in my 1980s definition, I guess, of an annuity is an annuity basically is a personal pension plan. That's
Right.
that's that,
Right.
that's what it's
Right.
designed to be. It's designed to be your personal pension plan. So if you're at a company now, and you're all 401k, all equity, and they don't have a pension plan, an annuity strategy or incorporating annuity into that income strategy for down the road is an excellent idea. And there are a number of ways you can customize these things prior to the early 90s, early 2000 annuities. You have so
Hmm.
many different options with these index and income annuity strategies.
Sure thing. Yeah, and we'll get, we're back on in 2 weeks, and
Right.
so this, we're real kind of high level a little bit today.
Okay.
But you mentioned bonds and things of that nature. I think in the next presentation we'll actually drill down a little bit further on, like, bond laddering, and
Right.
really get in the weeds a little bit. But here, like I say, from a high level, here's the another one that we incorporate a lot is the three buckets, where we've got the immediate money that's cash, because we're trying to fund, I guess, let's say in this scenario here, this person needs 2150 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got one bucket that's straight up cash for
Mm-hmm.
3 years. It's going to pay for that. The next bucket tends to be that middle,
Yeah.
safer area, you
Mhm.
know, fixed income,
Right.
bonds, whatever that may be. And then
Mm-hmm.
we kind of get aggressive with this latest part, because we're trying to replace the middle part.
Right.
Um, and a lot of times, people can't do that themselves. It's
Right.
they don't have the tools and the portfolios to do that themselves. So, thankfully we're able to kind of put these strategies in place, and a lot of times, we're able to preserve principal to pass on to the next generation while
E-
generating enough income for a family.
Exactly. 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 And again, going back to that, preserving principle, definitely for the next generation. But of course, a lot of clients, not a whole lot, but a number of clients now want to do a lot of charitable stuff, for
Hmm.
cities that they may have been in, or organizations that they've been a part of, and this strategy can help them to do that. Hey, I've created and did a good job with my assets to give me enough income.
Hmm.
My beneficiaries, my offsprings, they're good. I still want to take a portion of that and put it toward this charity or this university or this college that I was a part of. So just again, strategies in that planning and allocation.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one that you mentioned. because it's one, especially with appreciated stock,
Hmm.
and you've got, so if you sell the stock, you can get hit with the capital gains. But if you give it to the charity, you get a donation for the value of the stock,
Right.
but you don't get any of the capital gain cost.
That's right.
So, so again, knowing what assets we have and how we're going to pass those on, and developing, a full strategy, tax as well as retirement, it's a lot of moving parts that we're dealing with these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, well, that, kind of sums up the initial class we have presentation on an inside look at retirement living. Again, today was really kind of a high level overview on topics, the big topics that are recognizing the market,
Right.
right? So again, if we're starting to get in a bull market, maybe we back up, and Social Security, we rely more on Social Security at that point, perhaps.
Exactly.
Um, because we're trying to battle that longevity risk, making these assets last, throughout your retirement, so you can do the things you want to do. So then you mentioned your hit strategy
Mhm.
again, or the hit topics,
Big topic.
that are not going anywhere, as you
Right.
said. So
They're not. They are not. They
yeah,
are here. They're here to stay. And then you just you take the hit, but be ready for the hit. I always tell my clients, okay, let's just get ready for the hit because it's gonna come. And it depends on so it's so many factors involved in that. So every kind of every 4 years or so we got to go through this. Okay, what's gonna be the hit now? And why I say
right,
4 years is because now we got a new administration. What are they
right,
gonna push from a fiscal standpoint, from a monetary standpoint? How are they gonna
yep,
address taxes? So we kind of it's almost every 4 years we got to go. Okay, what's the hit gonna be? Because their legislation can affect, of course, the tax laws and issues. It can also affect industry from the healthcare side on what policies are being
hmm
accepted. These trials, these pharmaceutical companies. So it's just a number of things, a number of factors, and it's a lot of them. But our job is to minimize those. To me, we can
right,
sit here and talk about all of the different factors, but I just feel as advisors, our job is to make it simple for our clients and to minimize that and just create a strategy. And like I said, there's no in the box strategy because there's always moving parts to it.
yeah. It's funny. It's almost like we need to take your hit strategy and add it to Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Right,
because shelter and food and clothing and water and
right,
air, you
right.
know, and
Absolutely.
and Leonard's hits. Leonard,
Exactly.
because
Exactly, my friend.
these things are not going anywhere. But
Not anymore. Yeah.
yeah, we can't help you on the clothing side, but we
Right.
can we can help you. We can help you on
100%.
this side.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, this will wrap up our session for today.
Okay.
Again, we're on the next two, continuing our retirement strategies. Again, next on the 11th, we'll dig down a little deeper, explore that annuities, bond laddering, how to put those things together, especially now that interest rates are back up.
Right.
These bonds are now more attractive. They're paying some money.
Mhm.
Money market accounts, a lot of things, FDIC insurance, everybody pay attention to that. Um, a lot of things going on right now, but yeah, these next two sessions will really get into weeds and roll up our sleeves on drilling down and how you all kind of accomplish your retirement goals. So
Sounds good.
again, Leonard, always good to see you.
You too, my brother. I appreciate you.
I know I'll be talking to you throughout the week.
Yes,
Got
sir.
some stuff to work on. But again, y'all, April 11th, we'll be back on. So look out for our next one. If you didn't catch it live, you can catch it on our YouTube channel. We tape all these and we'll get it posted for you. Thanks again, as always. And Leonard, talk to you this week, buddy.
All right, brother. Be safe. Take care.
All right. See you, bud. Take care.